Gonna do a quick video on my daily rider chopper e-bike. We got a cold front coming through Texas this week, and I'm kind of waiting for the shop to warm up right now, so I figured I'd do a quick rundown on this since I get stopped almost daily on it around town. I basically use this bike as like my car. Right now, it's got almost 2,000 miles on it. We're at 1869, and it just about this month, it'll be 2 years since I put the e-bike kit in it. So this bike is nothing too fancy or too special, at least not from a builder's perspective, not from a perspective of other people who are in the custom scene. It's still a great bike, but it's nothing crazy. But for me personally, it's got a lot of history in it. Back in 2008 and 9, I actually lost everything when the economy collapsed. I mean, everything. And going back to the late to mid 1990s, early 2000s, I was already building cars and motorcycles and all that stuff, and all the toys, go-karts, ATVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, the whole 9 yards. And by 2009 and 10, I had lost everything. And what I mean by everything is I wound up homeless for about a 3-year stretch. And I came here to Texas, North Texas. I had actually been traveling all over the country for those 3 years looking for work. And in 2011, I came here to North Texas, the Dallas area, and I met the person that would become my wife. And I actually had known her online for a few years and was coming back this way. And so I met her, and we had a small one-bedroom apartment and a little rented one-car garage there that was totally illegal to even be working in. And at that time, I was really apprehensive and paranoid about even starting a shop again, because I always kind of thought, well, this is going to be something that I'm going to put time and money into, and hopes and dreams, and then things are just probably going to fall apart again. But I went ahead and went down to the local Harbor Freight, and I got myself a little 90 amp flux core welder, which at that time they only had that welder, a 160 amp welder, and one of those old style cracker box 200 amp stick welders. So I got myself the little 90 amp $100 welder and an angle grinder, went out to the little one car garage and started cutting up bicycles, and this bike came from that. It's had one major frame surgery. Originally, this line came straight out, and then from the head tube straight down. Because like I said at the time, I didn't have benders and rollers and all that stuff. So, typical first build of anything, it had all straight lines. Those bars are also new because they've got the rolls in them now. And they're 1-inch round to 1-inch square diamond, and then to 7/8 round for the grips. And 2 years ago, I went ahead and just got a 1,000-watt, quote unquote, 1,000-watt e-bike kit and battery, and converted it to electric. I say advertise because those of you that are into bikes know that if the system is advertised at 1,000 watts, it's very likely that it's putting out 11 to 1,200. And sure enough, when I did the math on this, it's right at about 1,250. And it's 48 volt. And got a good battery. It's got Panasonic cells, 48 volt. And I believe it's a 14 AH amp hour. And then the controller is just up under the seat along with the wiring. This seat used to just be a steel pan. I put a piece of leather on there, and it's got like a tiny 1/4 inch piece of foam under that. And I mean, it's just a hardcore little hot rod. I mean, stripped down, lightweight, no suspension, the way a chopper should be. This is my typical setup: rear gears, rear brake. The rear brake on this has also got the engine cutoff wire. So basically, anytime you pull this lever, it basically trips a switch in here, which cuts the power to the motor. So if you have any faulty wiring or a faulty controller or problems with the motor, there's no way you can basically have a runaway bike. Anytime you grab that lever, it kills power to the engine. And right now, I swapped this out. This is actually a 53 tooth sprocket on here that I run on all the time. And originally it had the typical 48 tooth, but I found whenever I kitted it with the electric kit that the 48, by the time you get to 17, 18 miles per hour, your legs are already spun out. So I switched to a 53. They're forged aluminum, which stripped a little bit of weight. And now this bike will get up to 20, 25 like that. I mean, like nothing. And it's good for 32 to 35 miles per hour on the flat. I mean, depending on wind conditions. And then on this side, I've got everything that I would need that would keep me from being stranded, which this is a handheld air pump that I've got zip tied to the frame. And in this bag, I've got inner tubes. I have to run 2 spares in this because the back one has got this extra long valve stem because this rear wheel is a double wall rim. So you've actually got, a lot more here. So you need an extended valve stem to make it all the way through. So I have to carry 2 tubes because the front wheel is just single wall. And, everything you would need: tire levers. And then I always carry a chain breaker. I've never had a chain brake, but it's the only other thing that would keep you stranded. So if I break a chain, I can just relink it. And of course, a adjustable wrench to pull the nuts off the wheels or any other nuts or bolts that may come loose on the bike. So, and I've gone on group rides where that inevitably somebody will have a flat tire or something broke on something, and usually someone in the group is scrambling to find me because they know that I usually have stuff for a flat tire or I've got tools. It still kind of amazes me how many people go riding that aren't aware of that kind of stuff. So a bit of advice is be mindful of having a flat tire on your bike, know how to change it, and find out the things that you need to carry to take care of that, because it will happen. It's just a matter of time. And this headlight, this was actually it was a stainless steel ceiling light fixture that my wife found. And basically all I did, she gave it to me and it sat out here for, I don't know, a couple of months. And a neighbor had actually given me a vintage road bicycle, and this outer ring with holes was actually the chain guard for the rear wheel. And then I basically made this aluminum ring to hold on this mesh. And then it's got a crazy bright LED light in here. It's like 5,000 lumens or something crazy. And wheels they're just the standard 26 by 1 inch. For something that I ride all the time, I like just the regular standard bicycle wheel and tire size, which is actually faster. And I ride, people that know me for a long time know that I ride fast, I ride hard, and by fast I mean 25 to 35 miles per hour is normal for me. So that, and if I have a flat again, I'd rather be changed. I can change this in 10, 15 minutes on the side of the road versus having to go through all the stuff you got to do for a fat stretch tire. I mean, those things have their place, but for something that I ride all the time everywhere and ride fast, I still like 26 by 1. And it's, typical of the rest of my bikes. I got the spoke skins on there. So I would definitely, though, this bike is proof that if you don't have a lot of money, and or maybe you do, but you just want to you want to get into fabrication, but you don't know where, this bike is proof that go get yourself a $100 welder, get yourself an angle grinder. Please remember to be safe. I don't want to sound cheesy with the safety, but please be safe, and especially with cutoff wheels. Please be safe, and go out to your garage, your shed, your backyard, wherever, and just start cutting stuff up and sticking stuff together. Because here's what's going to happen. You start messing around and cutting stuff up, and your skills are going to grow, and time is going to go by. That's going to give you time to maybe save some more money and continue to upgrade your tools. And the next thing you know, you'll be, if you keep going down that path, you're going to be building bigger and bigger stuff, fancier stuff. And the other thing too that, came about is I'm on this bike all the time. Everyone around town knows me from being on this bike. And just being on this bike gets me work. It's a reason for people to pull me over and ask me if I built it and what do I do? Am I in the area? Can I build a bike for them? And sometimes it's not even bike related, because sometimes they'll just ask me if, obviously they can see that I know how to weld and fabricate. So they'll ask me, I've got this broken thing or that broken thing. Could you weld it for me? Could you fix it? Or could you add this or that for me or whatever? So it's actually been like a business card for me. And it was a reason to get back into a shop, to start building a shop again. So I would definitely encourage you. And nowadays, you go to Harbor Freight, it wasn't like 10 years ago. You go in there now, they've got 1 million welders. They've got 1 million welders, metalworking tools, all that stuff, MIG, TIG, anything you would need. And that's what happened to me, because this got me back in the shop 10 years ago. And I went on to build a lot more of these bicycles. And last year I sold all of them. I kept this one because, again, it's my daily, and also it's kind of sentimental because it was the first thing for me. And then my green show bike is web bike, that's also on a video on my channel, is under this plastic right here. And I want to, now that I'm back to doing stuff like this, I want to build a trailer for this, so that if and when show season gets back going again, I can pull the bikes on a trailer with that. And like I said, I use this bike is my car. So my wife has a car right now. She's a glass artist, and we basically live a complete artist lifestyle, meaning we've got to sacrifice other things to be able to afford to do our work. And, I use that as a car. I sold my truck in 2015. She uses the car for going to her glass studio and are running around getting stuff. But this bike is actually, I've got a mount right there and right there. And I used those for this trailer. So even like groceries and stuff like that, I get it on this, especially now that it's got the e-bike kit on it. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you. If bicycles may be a way for you to get going with something, and in the meantime, if anything, it'll allow you time to move up to other stuff later. All right, guys.